I've been using WIM Witch for such a long time now. Essentially, I find it really useful to create that perfect WIM that I need to get started with a project or with a customer. So it allows you to remove all the Apex stuff that you don't need, to slipstream in all the updates that you need, and just to get started with the right WIM and ISO if you need that. So I thought I'd do a quick introduction of WIM Witch to just get you started if you haven't had a chance to use it so far. Firstly, we'll head over to the docs, and that is at msn.manager.com/wim-witch. That was quite difficult to say. The idea of this is just to go through the documentation really quickly to show you that the docs are there, and then also just to show you how to install it, really, because that's a good place to start. So as you can see, we've got save-script-name, WimWitch, and then the path. So Donna Ryan, the developer of this tool, has put this together for us to get us started. So let's have a quick look at using this method of installing it first and see how this works. So open PowerShell and run the following. So let's just do that. Saving it into my WimWitch folder, just like this. And then from here, it did just say on the other screen that all I need to do is run it as admin. So we'll just do that. As you can see, it says, where do you want to install WimWitch? So I want to run it from, I want to install it from f/cmc/WimWitch. So I can say yes to this. If you're running this for the first time, it may ask you where you want to install it. At this point, you could say no, and then choose your own location. So you could do that. But for now, I'm going to press yes, because that's the ideal location for where I want to put it. And you can see a couple of warnings have popped up around OSD update not installed and OSD sus not installed. We'll go into that in a few seconds. For now, let's take a look at the first bit that pops up, the first tab that pops up, which is import WIM and .NET. Now, the whole point of this is that we're going to take an ISO that we've got already and update it, modify it, customize it with the stuff we want it to do. So this is where we're going to choose the ISO, stick it into WimWitch, and get that imported ready for us to use. So we choose the ISO by going to the location where the ISO is, which happens for me. I've downloaded it into the CMC directory, so I can click on that. And this is just the business version of 20H2, and it's from March 21, so there's plenty of updating to be done there. So as you can see, at the bottom there, you've got this log of what's going on. It says the ISO is selected to import from, and I want to import the install WIM, the binaries, and the ISO upgrade package files. And I want to give this a name of 20H2. I'm going to choose import. Now, one of the things I've noticed when I've been running WimWitch in the past is that it doesn't really give you the feedback of when it's finished. So I'll show you what I mean. On this screen here, there's nothing in the GUI to suggest it's busy. If you look in the command window, in the console window, you can see it clearly is doing stuff. It gives you really verbose output about what's going on, but it doesn't tell you when it's finished. It sort of says dismount complete, importing complete, but there's not really a finally complete kind of message. So that's one of the things to be aware of. You just need to take a look at the console window to see when things are still happening. But for now, I do know that means it's complete. And what I'm going to do is head over to the source WIM and show you where you would select that source WIM. So this is where you would select the source WIM, but I'm not going to do that just yet because I want to show you the next bit. And this is all about planning. So we need to understand what we're going to be using WimWitch for. And for me, that is going to be slipstreaming in some updates into the image for me. I also want to do some autopilot stuff in the future and also remove some Apex packages. So we'll talk about that. But really, I need to make sure that it's ready to do updates for me. And there are two ways that we can do updates. So there are, if we go into the update catalog section, you can see the default is OSD sus, and the other option is none, so it's not going to work, or config manager. Now I have got a config manager environment, but I don't want to use it for this because it's switched off for a start, and I want to really use OSD sus as the method because it's standalone and it doesn't require any infrastructure, so it's really easy to get started. So we'll choose OSD sus. Now OSD sus, you may know, is from the OS Deploy suite of tools, and that's from David Segura. And all of my videos have to come back to David Segura at some point, it seems. So this is where this one jumps in. So you can see we've got two tools that are required: OSD Update and OSD-SUS. They're both David Segura's tools that have been written for various things that David uses it for, and it's, they're fantastic tools in their own right. But Donna has used these in WIM Witch for updating and pulling content from Microsoft Update Service. So what we can see is that the installed version is not installed by default unless you happen to have already installed them. And the current version that we want to use has been picked up by the tool as this one here. So what we need to do is choose Install and Update. Single click will do that for us. It says it's attempting to install and update. It says please close WIM Witch and all PowerShell windows. Give it a few seconds and it's going to do that second package for us, where it will say please close WIM Witch and install PowerShell windows. This is due to a quirk of the OSD update and OSD-SUS packages that require a full relaunch of WIM Witch. So let's go ahead and do that just now. So we'll close WIM Witch and we'll close this PowerShell window and get back to there in just a second. Okay, so we're back over to this folder. So it's just a case of running WIM Witch, getting back to that GUI, which for me is going to open on the other screen, I'm sure of it. I'll give it a second. It does. Put that back so you can see it. And now we get this option to import the WIM again. Now we don't need to do that because we've already got it. So it's in this source WIM section here that we need to go and head over to 20H2, which is this one here, and grab that WIM. Now it's spanned my screen, so I'm going to just close that down a bit so you can see what it says now. And this is where it's offering us the different additions that are available in this ISO that I've got. So I want to install the enterprise version for this test. So I'm going to be choosing image index 3 and choose OK. And you can see at the bottom there it says it's selecting it, grabbing all the information from it, and at the top you can see what it's done. This is it finished now. Again, there's no clear indication that it has finished, but it has. And then we are ready to go. Now what I want to do here is update it with some updates. The latest update to 20H2. So I'm using OSD-SUS, which is all nicely installed, and I want to choose 20H2, and then I'm going to choose download. And what this will do is it will go away and download all of that update information from using OSD update and OSD-SUS, I assume, to grab all the information from the internet and stage it in the WIM Witch folder for us. So I'll choose that and we'll let it go away and download that for a few minutes. And as you can see, it says all downloads are complete. Now there's also the option at the top here to download optional updates and dynamic updates. I didn't choose those, but you could if you wanted to, and it will just add to the downloads that take place at the bottom there. So what we'll do now is go into customizations, and this is where you would install language packs if you wanted to. Same with local experience packs. These are all really good stuff to have in your WIM if you need that. Same with .NET, updated the OneDrive client, which is really useful so you don't have to do that post-build, and enabling updates. I'm not going to choose include optional, but again, if you've downloaded them, then you could do that. And I'm not going to inject the features on demand. Let's take a look at the other sections we've got here. I'm not going to do all of them because I have a really fixed set of tasks that I want to try and go through with you here. But we could add an XML for the default app associations. Same with the start menu layout, which is fantastic. You can set that right from the get-go. And then additionally, you could add in some registry files if you've got those that need to be set. So you no longer do you need to break open this WIM and load it into a VM in Windows and then capture it to do all this stuff. You've got all these capabilities right built into this tool. Also, removing Apex stuff is fantastic. So let's just click on that and then choose the Apex packages that we want to remove, because some of them are really annoying that they're in the enterprise build. Bing weather. Trying to find the most annoying ones. Wallet, for instance. Xbox. Some organizations let you play Xbox. A lot don't. So we're going to remove those Xbox apps within this test build. I'll just choose OK, and it said it's going to remove them for us. We'll take a look at it doing that later on. And then we've got another tab called Config Manager. Now I'm not going to do Config Manager integration. I understand that it's possible with this. You've got the button there, but I'm not going to test that out right now. perhaps in a later video, or perhaps when I'm more familiar with the tool, I'll give it a go and let you know how it works. For now, we're just going to skip past that one. I don't want to go to make it so just yet because there's this top row that I want to just quickly look at. So pause and scripts, I don't have any need to pause during this thing and run a script or anything, but that's a fantastic capability, so that's good to see. And then drivers as well, if you do have any drivers that you want to inject, you could do it at this stage, but right now I don't have any to do, so we'll leave that. Finally, autopilot. I do actually have an autopilot JSON file that I want to use, although actually I don't have the JSON file, so I'm going to need to grab it from my tenant. Now I can go into, I could whip open PowerShell and install the modules and download the JSON file myself using the correct commands, or this is built in to WIM Witch now, so we can just grab that by choosing retrieve profile just here, and it checks that all the modules are installed and stuff for you, and then brings up this window where you can log in to your tenant. Let me just do that now, and it should, once I've approved the authenticator sign in, it should give me a list of all of my autopilot profiles that are in this tenant that I have access to if you've got the right RBAC permissions, etc. You can see this one here is called Cloud Only, and if you followed any of my other videos around autopilot, this is the one I'm currently using because hybrid is a pain. I'm going to go with Cloud Only, and it says it's successfully created it at this location here, so that's fantastic. So I'm going to enable autopilot, and I'm going to choose that source JSON file that I've just created. So it's at CMC WIM Witch autopilot, and then there's this file here which is created just now, so that's great. And you can see it's got the tenant ID, the zero touch deployment ID, the tenant name, and then the deployment profile all picked up from that JSON file, so that's really reassuring. Now once you've done all this customization, this configuration, you could choose to save this I can't type while I'm talking on camera apparently, so you can give it a save configuration name and choose save, and it puts it somewhere. I don't know where it puts it. I'm sure it'll put it somewhere useful. Let's click load. It puts it in C WIM Witch configs for you just there. So that means you can send that around to colleagues or whatever you need to do to have this configuration set across the organization. So I mentioned this tool was full of puns and little geeky name messages and stuff. So this make it so, obviously a Star Trek reference. So yeah, that's really good. So enter target WIM name. We're going to give it a name of 20H2, and I'm happy with it putting it in that completed WIMs folder. And the mountain path is fine. I've got tons of disk space on this F drive, so I don't mind that happening there. And then the create ISO, I do want an ISO to be created at the end of this. So obviously with the WIM file, you can use that to stick that into some kind of deployment method that you might be using. But ISOs are also fantastic for just porting them around. You can install them on VMs. You can install them you can convert them to USBs using Rufus, and they're just, I find them really useful. So I always create the ISO as well at the same time, just in case I need to test that out. So I'm going to click create ISO and then give it the same name like that, and then I'm going to choose this, but I'm going to call it ISOs instead. Oops. I'm just going to check that I've got a folder called that. I don't, so I'll just quickly create one of those, just so that it doesn't have to do that for me. And then that's essentially it. So you can see on the right hand side we've got, are we doing dynamic updates, boot WIMs, standalone WIMs, all that kind of stuff. So we're doing app removal, as you saw. We're doing driver injection. We're not doing driver injection, and we are doing update injection, and we're also doing that autopilot JSON injection. So there's nothing else to do really here. We just need to choose make it so and see the magic happen. I mentioned at the start that there wasn't much feedback in the GUI of what's going on there, so I'll minimize that so you can see what's happening in the command window while it does this. So now that's started, that's brilliant. I'm going to let all of these updates apply and the Apex packages remove and stuff, and at the end of this I'll have two things. I'll have the WIM with a log file, I think, and an ISO in the folder I asked for it to be created in. And that's saved me a ton of work, saved me a ton of effort to manually write all those commands and manually build that custom WIM that I want. So firstly, thank you so much to Donna Ryan for putting the effort into this script. Obviously it's all community driven, and all in her own time, I'm assuming. So fantastic effort. Thank you so much for that. It has saved me so much time over the years, believe me. So thank you for that. If you have any feedback on the script itself and on the tool itself, please reach out to Donna. The contact details, I'm sure, are in the documentation that we've just been through at the start of this video. I'll put the link to that in the description. But for now, that's all I've got to show you. So thank you for watching. Please hit the like button. I'll see you next time.